Hello and welcome to Chapter 10. Install and configure the SSH service and clients. I'll see you there. Hello and welcome to Chapter 10, Configure and Secure SSH. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to our terminals. Okay, so I have been using SSH throughout most of these chapters because it's more comfortable and easier to me. But I'm pretty sure that most of you guys know what SSH is at this point in time. But anyways, here it goes for the ones who don't. So SSH, it's a remote access protocol. So this allows us to be able to connect to remote machines so we can configure them remotely in a safely fashion. So SSH is encrypted, which means that it's safe to use. So to connect to remote machines and issue commands accordingly. Of course, we need to be careful and not to be over little sellers. I have some care about the use of SSH, of course. But for the most part, it should be safe enough to use in most situations. Of course, you need to take care, some precautions, not to abuse it. But for the most part, it should be okay to use. Now, how can you access a Linux machine to another Linux machine? Well, it's not that hard. It's actually quite simple. We'll just do SSH and specify afterwards either the IP address or the host name of the remote machine you want to connect to. Okay, so in simple terms, so you just need to go to your destination machine, the one you want to connect to, find out its IP address. I'm going to use a command called IPA. Don't worry too much about this because networking is chapter 11. The next one, like and subscribe to get notified. And I just need to find out the IP address I want to use. And I just need to type in the IP address. The first time I connect, it's going to ask me to save the fingerprint. Fingerprint is like the ID of the machine you want to connect to and your own, like a relationship. Let's say yes. And it's going to ask me the password for the root user that I'm using to connect. And I'm going to type the password. And I am going to fail. I will just type the passwords an extra time more. And it should fail and just, well, you will just fall back to Rocky 1. Why? Because by default, the root user cannot connect to remote machines. Okay? Again, that's regarding that security thing I discussed. Even though SSH, it's quite safe. It's not 100% safe. So by default, we cannot connect to the root user of the remote machine because the password then will just go flying by. It should be safe, but in recent times, it's recommended to not to do so. So we just need to get yourselves another user. For example, the student user. I just do SSH to the remote machine. Oops. Let me get the IP address here. Since the different user, I will have to resave the fingerprint, type in the user's password, and now I am successfully logged in. So the root user cannot, by default, I will show how can we just, overwrite that. But by default, we cannot use the root user to connect to remote machines just because of safe measure. Once I am connected, of course, I can just become the root user using my preferred method. And well, now it's my fault because I just mistyped the password, but that's just 100% my fault. Yeah, you know the password for the root user, big deal. Okay, cool. Now I am connected. I am connected to my remote user. Okay, in this case, I connected through a regular user, and now I am the root user. Okay, bingo, bango, bosh. Cool. So now I am connected remotely to Rocky 2. No big of a deal, pretty simple, pretty nice. So if you are stubborn enough and you want to allow, okay, let me explain what I'm doing. I'm typing exit and the exit will just log out from the remote root to the remote student. And I'm still on Rocky 2. If I type exit again, I am back to Rocky 1 and the session was completely closed off. So if you are stubborn enough and you want to allow the root user to connect, you just go to the machine you want to connect to. You edit a file called etc ssh sshd underscore config. Okay, this is for the configuration of the daemon server. Daemon, some people call it diamond, some people call it daemon. You find this section. It doesn't really matter where you put it, but I like to put it here. You just type permit root login. Yes, you save, you restart, and you should be able to allow the root user. I'm going to put this as a comment, but if you want to actually apply this, you save the file. I can show you. Just save it. You do systemctl, restart, sshd, and now the root can connect using the root. I will show you. I don't want to keep this as is, but I will show you anyways. And I'm successful. Okay. I want to go back to where it was. I do prefer it as it was. I'm going to find this. I'm going to comment this out. I will restart it. And now, even though I'm putting the right password, I won't be able to log in because there we go. Root is not allowed to log in again. Cool, pretty simple. Now, SSH is also used to support protocols that are called SCP, for secure copy, and rsync for remote synchronization. So these two protocols are used to copy files throughout the network using SSH to protect, which is nice. But we will discuss rsync and SCP on the RH134 course. So right click and subscribe to get notified and get information about that. But I'm going to show you something else. So right now I'm going back to the student user. Okay. On both machines. So I have the same student user with the same ID on both machines. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set up what we call the SSH keys. Okay. And SSH keys are an alternate form of authentication. So instead of putting in the user's password, I'm going to pre-exchange a series of keys. Okay, I'm going to pre-exchange a series of keys. And these keys will allow me to pre-authenticate the user. So why is this useful? Because, for example, there are some automations like Ansible or scripting that if you need to pause and type in the password or put the password on the configuration files, it can be time consuming, it can be less effective or even less secure. So what we do here is to pre-exchange keys from two machines. So let's say Rocky1 usually connects to Rocky2 using the student user. So it means that every time the student user from Rocky1 connects to the student user of Rocky2, it will not require the password. It will use the certificate, SSH certificate to do so. The certificate or the key, it's more correct to say key at this point, in this case. So the key can also be protected by a password. So the user's password doesn't have to be the same as protects the key. So we have several levels of security that can be revoked at any single time. So if Rocky2 suspects that Rocky1 is abusing the key, Rocky2 can just delete the key and everything just goes away and you go back to square one. So to use the key, I'm going to generate the key on Rocky1, then copy the key to Rocky2 because the keys are usually not present by default. So how do I generate the key on Rocky1? And before I forget, this is one way. So this will work from Rocky1 to Rocky2. It does not work in reverse unless you repeat the process in reverse. That I will show you. So let's first of all generate the key, SSH copy ID. I'm sorry, keygen. I'm sorry. I was going one step further. Keygen. And I just need to follow along the prompts. So he's going to ask me where do I want to save my key. And of course I can change the location. That's why he's giving me the prompt. I will not change the location because I'm happy with the default one. Because the default one is where everybody's going to look for it. So if by any means I come here 5 months later, I would not remember I did this. I did save this on a different location. It's just bad. So I'm going to save the key on its default location. It's going to ask me for the passphrase. Like I said, I can protect the key with a password that doesn't have to be the same as the user's password. So as you know, the student password is student, which means that the key to the passphrase to protect the key can be something else. Like the user's password is student, the key's passphrase can be potatoes or whatever the case, which is quite nice. I'm going to use it empty because I want to make this as seamless as possible, and only the key will guarantee the authentication. And as you know, this is very reversible. As you can see, it's RSA, so reverse channel and Edelman key with 3000 bits protection. This is kind of the minimum at today's days. And what I want here to use here, it's the public key. And I want to copy this public key to the Rocky 2. So I'm going to use the SSH, copy ID, -I. And I'm going to copy it to the student user. And I'm going to get the IP back because I forget. There we go. Okay, I'm going to type the student user's password one last time. Cool. Now, if I SSH like I did before, you will see that I will not be required to type in any password or anything else because the key actually did all the work for me. So I'm on Rocky 2 successfully using the student user. Okay. But if you noticed, I am on Rocky 2. But if I do the inverse connection from Rocky 2 to Rocky 1, you'll see that now I'm going to be prompted for the password, which is fine. But this is one way. I copied the key from Rocky 1 to Rocky 2. This seamless connection works in this direction. In the reverse direction, it will not work like this. Unless I generate a key on Rocky 1 or unless I generate a key on Rocky 2 and copy it back to Rocky 1 and they both exchange the keys in a bidirectional fashion, this would work. But by default, it's only one direction. Copy Rocky 1, copy to Rocky 2, and that's final. Now, if you are on Rocky 2 and you want to revoke this, you suspect that Rocky 1 is abusing this. You go to Rocky 2, to the user that copied the key, which is student. You have a hidden folder called SSH. You have there these files, authorized keys and authorized hosts, or non-hosts. We're going to the authorized keys folder file, and this contains the key for Rocky 1. This is only one. This is only one line, but it's truncated because it does not fit in the screen. If multiple hosts have copied keys to this Rocky 2, for example, Rocky 1 copied to Rocky 2, Rocky 3 copied to Rocky 2, Rocky 4 copied to Rocky 2, you will see all the keys here, and this is just one line. Okay, I will do it, but I will not save it. We just need to go to this file and delete the line that you don't want to keep. So this now I don't want to do this. I don't want to save this. But if you save the file, this will just revoke the key for that specific host, which is called Rocky 1. Okay, so now Rocky 1 is not anymore able to use the SSH key in order to connect to Rocky 2. So this was chapter 10. It's called Configure and Secure SSH for chapter RH 1 to 4. Like and subscribe, it really helps. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.